Hello there. We are going to discuss the top 5 Pokémon currently in Scarlet and Violet OU till Mask DLC. This means Pokémon like broken legendaries or regular Pokémon that were too strong and banned from OU, aka like the standard play, the standard competitive play, are not included in this list. So if you're curious why your favorite beast, I don't know, Coraidon or Palafin here or some shit isn't included, well, it's for that reason. So yeah, also I really appreciate the support and the nice feedback you guys been giving me in the recent videos. I want to thank you for it. Appreciate it a lot. And yeah, if you like this type of competitive, educational, highlighter type of content I do, feel free to subscribe. I guess you get notified when the next videos are up. It's absolutely free, and you can remove it whenever you want to. It support my channel's growth a lot. So yeah, thank you very much for it. With all that said, let's talk about number 5. Number 5, we have Rillaboom. With the Teal Mask DLC, Rillaboom was able to reclaim its previously lost move, Grassy Glide, and as soon as it did, this Pokemon rised up in usage, causing like big trouble against all type of teams. Right? It's an incredible grass type, like with now reliable star priority again, extremely powerful Root Hammers, boosted by grassy terrain. It has great utility moves in Knockoff, U-Turn, high horsepower, Endeavor, as well as overall solid like offensive stats. Its defenses are not bad either. It has base 100 HP stat, which is pretty high. It has base 90 defense and a mid base 70 speed def, which means you can do a bunch of very offensive or more utility type of sets. People mostly use Choice Band with Terra Grass. The damage output this set does is ridiculous, often Joy-Going even resists, and having incredible utility as well as revenge killing option with its stab, Grassy Glide. Knockoff is usually there to punish all-in-one move Pokemon that would resist its grass type attacks, aka Steels, Flying types, Fire types, Poison and Dragon types, as well as get rid of their items, which is often very viable against like heavy duty boots. So now with these Fire types or Flying types, for example, that would be able to eat a grass type hit from Rillaboom. Now with Stealth Rocks now, they no longer can because they lost their boots, right? So U-Turn provides momentum for the team, getting in key partners on the field against would-be counters for Rillaboom's grass type attacks, as well as hitting like opposing grass types with your U-Turn, or even like, something like Ogerpon Wellspring, right? Outside of Choice Band, Rillaboom has a couple more sets it can do. It can do Assault Vest Rillaboom with a lot more HP investment over speed. It allows Rillaboom to be more of a team player type of Pokemon, and improves the amount of hits Rillaboom can absorb by a lot. Not only that, but it can get like slow U-turns versus faster opposing threats, meaning that the Pokemon you're going to U-turn into gets a safe switch in. And this can create like some very nice synergy with grassy terrain on the field. Like for example, you get a slow U-turn into a Pokemon with the item Grassy Seed, like Unburden Howlucha or even Calm Mind Hatterene. Or it can even be used to boost partners' already strong grass type attacks, like for example using it with Ogerpon's Power Whip, grass terrain plus Ogerpon's Power Whip, so you get a slow U-turn into it. Really nice. Finally, can even reduce the amount of damage Earthquake does. That means you can form like nice fire, water, grass cores for your teams, and the fire types that you're going to U-turn into are no longer gonna be weak to one of the scariest ground type attacks they can use. Rillaboom sometimes runs the item called the Terrain Extender over Assault Vest to extend the terrain by another 3 turns. So teams build around that, and dedicated grass terrain teams synergize a lot better and function a lot better too. So yeah, Rillaboom is placed in number 5 for that reason. Moving on, we have number 4. Number 4, we have Iron Valiant. Iron Valiant is extremely versatile and can do various sets, either physical or special. Its stats are super offensive, almost like a glass cannon, as we like to call these Pokemons that are very offensive but with little defensive capabilities. It has naturally very high attack stats, as well as very good speed at 364 with Timid or Jolly nature, which can be improved even further with the item called Boost Energy, activating its ability Quark Drive, multiplying its speed by 1.5, making it one of the scariest and fastest Pokemons available. Iron Valiant has a ton of moves it can viably use, considering considering like it's already perfect like natural fairy fighting typing. The plethora of cover moves it can finally be used are unlimited. Like it's beautiful. They complemented it beautifully, and it's the reason like this Pokemon is so unpredictable with what it can do, making it like very difficult to maneuver against. Setup sweeper sets, either Sword Dance physical or Calm Mind special sets, are the most common things Violent does, and it functions as one of the premier sweepers in the tier. Calm Mind sets often use, obviously, its stab move Moonblast, which is like very spammable and strong, and coverage options like Shadow Ball, Thunderbolt, Side Shock to hit poison types that would resist Moonblast, or even Aura Sphere can be used sometimes. Physical sets, from the other hand, use Close Combat as its main stab. Knockoff is used for great utility and, you know, hitting the Ghost and Sidekick types that would resist Close Combat. What else? Spirit Break. Spirit Break is often used because its stab, it's quite strong. Not as strong as Close Combat, right? But it hits opposing fighting types, for example, something like Great Tusk. But it also uses the utility move often, Anchor, sort of as Anchor. Speaking of utility, Iron Violent can also be, you know, used like with a fully utility type of set. Usually it's 2 attacks, knockoff included, as it can be very valuable getting rid of items. And then it uses Anchor and Destiny Bond together for 3rd and 4th moves, as you can get some really good mind games and lock your opponent into a status move or recovery, getting a lot of momentum for your team, or locking him into an attacking move, which means you can take him down with you using Destiny Bond. Considering how offensive the metagame currently is, these utility options with sky high speed prevents a lot of opposing setup sweeper Pokemons to get the job done, and allows yours to do it better. So yeah, this kind of how Violent functions at the moment and why it's that good. And let's go to number 3. Number 3, we have Dragapult. Since its release and the removal of Pursuit, offensive Ghost types and specifically Dragapult has been like very dominant in competitive play. There is a reason for that. Ghost offensively has always been very promising, and as there are very little dark and normal type Pokemon that are often used in competitive play to defend, and it hits, mainly because both dark and normal types provide little defensive utilities to a team, and there is not a large variety of typings they resist, right? So for that reason, we often use dark and normal types, with a few exceptions of course, to mainly attack. And when you mainly attack with these Pokemon, it's often difficult to use them to defend as well. This all means Ghost is an excellent offensive typing to attack, and it explains why Dragapult is an the absolute meaning of consistency. There has never been such an easy thing as spamming fast and strong Shadow Balls with this Pokemon, and with its other typing Dragon, spamming powerful Draco Meteors, or even using one of its incredible coverage options like Flamethrower, Hydro Bomb, Thunderbolt, or even U-Turn for momentum. It explains why Dragapult is so good at what it does. It functions in a lot of type of teams with a variety of physical, special, or mixed utility type of sets. It mostly uses choice specs to be able to spam that consistent Shadow Ball, and owing to its super good speed, it allows Dragapult to revenge skill pretty much everything. The physical sets often run Choice Band. They run Choice Band with Terra Ghost and Terra Blast, coming off its stronger physical stat at 120, if I remember correctly, making it even easier to deal damage with offensive Ghost. But it can also use Draco Dance, making Dragapult a threatening setup sweeper. The utility sets often pack status moves, things like Thunder Wave or Will-O-Wisp, boosting its stab move Hex. And because of that speed here, Dragapult often uses Light Clay as well, with Reflect, Light Screen, and Curse to basically get the screens up and feint quickly to maximize the amount of turns your other members of the team can take advantage of them. So yeah, finally Dragapult can be used as a lead, outspeeding other common leads Hyper offense uses, so things like Limora, Ninetales, Ribombee, and Ogrepon, Ogrepon Cornerstone, yeah, that one. And with the item focuses, you're able to leave like any hit and win the lead exchange, as you 2KO them and they don't, or even get to disable their move with Cursed Body in that exchange. All the ability, by the way, on Juggernaut are viable depending on the set you use. Clear body on physical sets, as you don't lower your attack versus Intimidate or Sticky Webs, which is very important. Versus something like, you know, standard web teams, Ribombi, and all that fun stuff for the very common landlords, right? Infiltrator on special sets, and this allows you to better check Zamazenta, substitute Zamazenta, as you usually outspeed, and not usually, but when you're teamed you always outspeed, and you can pressure it, especially when it tries to body press and iron defense and all that fun stuff. And it's also quite good in general. It's like good utility. It hits through screens too. Talk about Refrigerator, right? And the utility sets often run Curse Body, so in screens, light glaze type of set, or even lead with Focusas, you would probably run Curse Body on that set. So yeah, this is Juggernaut, lead Pokemon, very consistent. The meaning of consistency, absolutely. Let's move on to number 2, which is, yes sir, it's Goldengo. Make it rain, baby. Yeah, Goldengo, number 2, Goldengo. Goldengo is number 2 for a good reason. This Pokemon has everything from incredible typing to really nice stats, very good moves, reliable hitting with recover, and most important, a broken ass ability. Good as Gold is the single most ridiculous ability I've ever seen. Not just blocking status move, not just blocking, I don't know, recoil from Life Orb like Magic Guard works. No. This blocks every single status move it's aimed at it. Meaning that although it wouldn't block moves, status moves target at the field, or self-status moves opposing Pokemon could use, like Swords Dance, Wish, or hazards like Stealth Rocks and Spikes, it does block everything else. No stat reducing moves like Memento and Parting Shot, blocks Trick, Switcheroo, and very very important, it blocks Defog. Defog was something that we were never able to block before. Like, sure, we had like Pokemons with the ability Defiant, but Good as Gold prevents it completely. And combining that with the fact that this Pokemon is a Ghost type, blocking Rapid Spin, and has a Steel type as a secondary typing, providing like key incredible defensive utilities with good natural defensive stats, this Pokemon makes hazard stacking teams absolutely metagame defining, and it's one of the reasons the things like Sticky Webs offense or just straight up offensive builds with dedicated lead spamming hazards are as dominant as they are. Not only that, but it functions extremely well in these builds too, with Nasty Plot, one of the best ways to set up, and yeah, it's nice coverage options like Dazzling Gleam for Dark and Dragons, Focus Blast for Dark and Steel types, Thunderbolt for Flying and Bulky Water types that would, by the way, resist its broken ass signature move, Make It Rain, or even Shyso can be used for opposing Calmite setup Pokemons, and you know, heavy special defensive checks like Blissey. The coverage is on point. It has some really nice utility moves too. It can use Trick, allowing Choice Scarf and Choice Specs sets to be used. It can use Thunder Wave, which has very good synergy with Hex that it can also use. Recover, as we said before, and yeah, it is very good. So yeah, for those reasons, Goldengo has a variety of sets it can do. Probably one of the best one is defensive Goldengo set with Nasty Plot, Recover, and its 2 stabs. It hits a lot of hits. Because of the defense investment, you usually like maximize the HP and defense, maybe a little bit of speed, maybe a little bit of special attack here and there. But yeah, it's a lot of hits, and it checks various opposing offensive threats like Zamazenta, Iron Valiant, and while also boosting like your special attack with Nasty Plot and dealing massive damage to opposing teams. So yeah, you can also use a move, a more offensive move set with Air Balloon as its item, 2 stabs Nasty Plot and Recover, or on the offensive set you can use Focus Blast for hitting Goldengo's naturally main checks, Darks and Steels. And yeah, this one would be invested in speed and special attack with the Air Balloon. These are the 2 most common, the 2 most common sets it can do, but it can also do like a bunch of other stuff like Choice Scarf with 3 attacks and Trick, Choice Specs, Thunder Wave Hex as we said before, or even can use Covert Cloak and Eject Pack. Eject Pack, Make It Rain provides like nice momentum for your team, And yeah, these are the things. I'm sure you can find more. Terras you can use, like Terra Fairy, which is this dark and dragon. You can use Terra Flying for that nice, no longer like being weak to ground, which is really nice. And yeah, it's overall an extremely good Pokemon. It is ranked S tier in the official viability rankings. And yeah, let's move on to number 1. Number 1, we have the one and only Kingambit. Kingambit to me is the absolutely best Pokemon in the tier. Compared to the other Pokemons we talked before, it does way fewer things. It doesn't have like 4 flashy different sets, it doesn't have like a list of coverage moves you can use. It does the same exact thing with every set, but it does it goddamn well. Swordsdance 3 attacks, that's all this Pokemon does. It can, however, use more offensive or more bulky approaches, and the last move of Virus 2 as it can be Iron Head, which is stab and strong versus fairies that would otherwise resist its dark type attacks. It can use low kick for hitting dark types again, but it also hits steel types. So for example, something like opposing Kingambit, Dark and Steel. But it can also use Terra Fairy and Terra Blast, hitting all the types of fighting types that we have in the tier. So something like Great Tusk and Zamazenta that would otherwise resist dark type moves. Other than that, the other 3 moves are always the same: Swords Dance, Sucker Punch, and Cat-Out Cleave. This should never leave the set, no matter what that is. Offensive set is often using Black Glasses or Lumberry as its item, but sometimes Leftovers or Air Balloon too. Where other more bulky sets with less speed investment and more HP, these often use Leftovers, improving Kingambit's survivability and potential to eat hit, and then set up a sweep. Like it improves that situation by a lot. Kingambit functions as a late game setup sweeper, meaning that using it early to do hits and click random attacks here and there is not gonna do it. But owing to its ability Supreme Overlord, when it's used late game to clean, it does it better than any other Pokemon. Like absolutely better than anyone else. There have been various games and tournament matches this Pokemon cooks everything on the field, and what's really complimenting Kingambit is the ability to freaking terrestrialize. We talked about Terra Fairy before, and it's really good as you're no longer weak to ground, fire, or fighting type attacks that you were before, but it can use other Terras too. Something like Terra Flying, which also resists fighting and is immune to ground, over just neutral. You can use more offensive Terras, like Terra Dark, boosting by a lot its Sucker Punch and Cat-Out Cleave, as well as get rid of that Steel type, so you're no longer weak to some of the super effective typings that were previously hitting you, and now you're neutral to them. So something like Fire or Ground, which can be really nice. And it can use Terra Fire as well, which is a little bit more situational. It's an offensive Terra, but it can get the job done versus Will-O-Wisp attempts or versus fire types, trying to revenge kill it, things like that. Another Kingambit's benefit, and why it's number 1 to me, is that another reason is that it benefits that has like really good matchup versus a lot of the top tier Pokemon that are currently used. Even some that we mentioned previously in the list, okay, like the ghost types, Goldengo and Dragapult, for example, versus Goldengo. If it doesn't run like Terra Fairy, Dazzling Gleam, or Terra Fighting, Terra Blast, Focus Blast, then Kingambit is an absolutely wall, or Dragapult. It's like they all have like their options, but naturally this Pokemon Kingambit checks them very well. It's also a grass type resist for Rillaboom's stab attacks. It can survive many hits from Iron Violent, except like the fighting ones, and Iron Headed back, or even Terra and lure them effectively. Kingambit does it incredible, and it's arguably the Pokemon that takes advantage of Terrestrialize the best, allowing you to break through even the sturdiest resists like Great Tusk, Dondozo, and Landorus. Like for example, you get Terra Flying versus Tusk and Landorus, boom, you beat them everyone. Or Dondozo, you get Terra Dark, use Black Glasses, 3KO, 2KO that thing, it tries to rest, doesn't do shit, tries to switch in, nope, Kingambit breaks through. So yeah, these are the reasons why Kingambit I feel is number 1, and this is how, Jesus Christ, this is how Kingambit is meant to be used. But yeah, that's just what I think. What do you guys feel are the best 5 Pokemons at the moment? Did I miss anyone that deserves to be on the list? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you with another vid later or tomorrow. Peace.